Chapter 4. The Root of the Problem. The truth of suffering, the Buddha said, must be explored to its end. On the night that he was to attain enlightenment, he sat down with the determination not to rise until he had understood how suffering originates and how it can be eradicated. Clearly, he saw, suffering exists. This is an inescapable fact, no matter how unpalatable it may be. Suffering begins with the beginning of life. We have no conscious recollection of existence within the confines of the womb, but the common experience is that we emerge from it crying. Birth is a great trauma. Having started life, we are all bound to encounter the sufferings of sickness and old age. Yet no matter how sick we may be, no matter how decayed and decrepit, none of us wants to die, because death is a great misery. Every living creature must face all these sufferings. And as we pass through life, we are bound to encounter other sufferings, various types of physical or mental pain. We become involved with the unpleasant and separated from the pleasant. We fail to get what we want. Instead, we get what we do not want. All these situations are suffering. These instances of suffering are readily apparent to anyone who thinks about it deeply. But the future Buddha was not to be satisfied with the limited explanations of the intellect. He continued probing within himself to experience the real nature of suffering, and he found that attachment to the 5 aggregates is suffering. At a very deep level, suffering is the inordinate attachment that each one of us has developed toward this body and toward this mind, with its cognitions, perceptions, sensations, and reactions. People cling strongly to their identity, their mental and physical being, when actually there are only evolving processes. This clinging to an unreal idea of oneself, to something that in fact is constantly changing, is suffering. Craving becomes a habit that we cannot break, an addiction. And just as an addict gradually develops tolerance towards his chosen drug and requires ever larger doses in order to achieve intoxication, our cravings steadily become stronger the more we seek to fulfill them. In this way, we can never come to the end of craving. And so long as we crave, we can never be happy. Another great attachment is to the I, the ego, the image we have of ourselves. For each of us, the I is the most important person in the world. We behave like a magnet surrounded by iron filings. It will automatically arrange the filings in a pattern centered on itself. And with just as little reflection, we all instinctively try to arrange the world according to our liking, seeking to attract the pleasant and to repel the unpleasant. But none of us is alone in the world. One I is bound to come into conflict with another. The pattern each seeks to create is disturbed by the magnetic fields of others, and we ourselves become subject to attraction or repulsion. The result can only be unhappiness, suffering. Nor do we limit attachment to the I. We extend it to mine, whatever belongs to us. We each develop great attachment to what we possess, because it is associated with us. It supports the image of I. This attachment would cause no problem if what one called mine were eternal, and the I remained to enjoy it eternally. But the fact is that sooner or later the I is separated from the mine. The parting time is bound to come. When it arrives, the greater the clinging to mine, the greater the suffering will be. And attachment extends still further to our views and our beliefs. No matter what their actual content may be, no matter whether they are right or wrong, if we are attached to them, they will certainly make us unhappy. We are each convinced that our own views and traditions are the best, and become very upset whenever we hear them criticized. If we try to explain our views and others do not accept them, again we become upset. We fail to recognize that each person has his or her own beliefs. It is futile to argue about which view is correct. More beneficial would be to set aside any preconceived notions and to try to see reality. But our attachment to views prevents us from doing so, keeping us unhappy. Finally, there is attachment to religious forms and ceremonies. We tend to emphasize the external expressions of religion more than their underlying meaning, and to feel that anyone who does not perform such ceremonies cannot be a truly religious person. We forget that without its essence, the formal aspect of religion is an empty shell. Piety in reciting prayers or performing ceremonies is valueless if the mind remains filled with anger, passion, and ill will. To be truly religious, we must develop the religious attitude, purity of heart, love and compassion for all. But our attachment to the external forms of religion leads us to give more importance to the letter of it than the spirit. We miss the essence of religion and therefore remain miserable. All our sufferings, whatever they may be, are connected to one or another of these attachments. Attachment and suffering are always found together. What causes attachment? How does it arise? Analyzing his own nature, the future Buddha found that it develops because of the momentary mental reactions of liking and disliking. The brief unconscious reactions of the mind are repeated and intensified moment after moment, growing into powerful attractions and repulsions, into all our attachments. Attachment is merely the developed form of the fleeting reaction. This is the immediate cause of suffering. What causes reactions of liking and disliking? Looking deeper, he saw that they occur because of sensation. We feel a pleasant sensation and start liking it. We feel an unpleasant sensation and start disliking it. Now, why these sensations? What causes them? Examining still further within himself, he saw that they arise because of contact. Contact of the eye with a vision, contact of the ear with a sound, contact of the nose with an odor, contact of the tongue with a taste, contact of the body with something tangible, contact of the mind with any thought, emotion, idea, imagination, or memory. Through the 5 physical senses and the mind, we experience the world. Whenever an object or phenomenon contacts any of these 6 bases of experience, a sensation is produced, pleasant or unpleasant. And why does contact occur in the first place? The future Buddha saw that because of the existence of the 6 sensory bases, the 5 physical senses and the mind, contact is bound to occur. The world is full of countless phenomena: sight, sounds, odors, flavors, textures, various thoughts and emotions. So long as our receivers are functioning, contact is inevitable. Then why do the 6 sensory bases exist? Because they are essential aspects of the flow of mind and matter. And why this flow of mind and matter? What causes it to occur? The future Buddha understood that the process arises because of consciousness, the act of cognition, which separates the world into the knower and the known, subject and object, I and other. From this separation results identity, birth. Every moment consciousness arises and assumes a specific mental and physical form. In the next moment, again, consciousness takes a slightly different form. Throughout one's existence, consciousness flows and changes. At last comes death. But consciousness does not stop there. Without any interval, in the next moment, it assumes a new form.